Hello, my lovelies. Today I have another book haul for you, so stay tuned. So I haven't done terrible as far as my book haul this month. I didn't go too crazy. I only have 21 books here. But yeah, still got 21. It's still quite a bit. But I have books from subscription boxes. I have books from a little Barnes and Noble trip. I have some pre-orders. I have like a blind date with a book that was sent to me. And I have my first ever book of the month book. So let's just jump right in. Oh, and I'm sorry if I'm looking at like off to the side sometimes. It's because I have a new camera and where I'm used to my screen being right there, like in eyesight, like directly above my camera. Now it's off to the side and it's really throwing me for a loop. And I keep constantly looking over there at the screen. Okay, let's start with my book of the month book. I got The Wishing Game by Meg Schaefer. This says, years ago, a reclusive mega best-selling author quit writing under mysterious circumstances. Suddenly, he resurfaces with a brand new book and a one-of-a-kind competition, offering a prize that will change the winner's life. Make a wish. Lucy Hart knows better than anyone what it's like to grow up without parents who loved her. In a childhood marked by neglect and loneliness, Lucy found her solace in books, namely the Clock Island series by Jack Masterson. Now a 26-year-old teacher's aide, Lucy is able to share her love of reading with bright young students, especially 7-year-old orphan Christopher Lamb. Lucy would give anything to adopt Christopher, but even the idea of becoming a family seems like an impossible dream without proper funds and stability. Just when Lucy is about to give up, Jack Masterson announces he's finally written a new book. Even better, he's holding a contest at his home on the real Clock Island, and Lucy is one of the 4 lucky contestants chosen to compete to win the one and only copy. For Lucy, the chance of winning the most sought-after book in the world means everything to her and Christopher. But first, she must contend with ruthless book collectors, wily opponents, and the distractingly handsome and grumpy Hugo Reese, the illustrator of the Clock Island books. Meanwhile, Jack, the mastermind Masterson, is plotting the ultimate twist ending that could change all their lives forever. I think this sounds so good. Okay, next is a book that was sent to me kindly by one of my lovely subscribers. Her name's Brittany Macy, and she has a Etsy shop where she does gently used blind date with a book. And it's really cool. You fill out this form and everything, and then she sends one to you, and it's only like $15 or something. And she did give me a code. I'll put here. It's good indefinitely, she says, and it's for 10% off. And I will link her shop down below. But the book that she ended up selecting for me was You Had Me at Hola by Alexis Daria. And this one says, leading ladies do not end up on tabloid covers. After a messy public breakup, soap opera darling Jasmine Lynn Rodriguez finds her face splashed across the tabloids. When she returns to New York to star in a new bilingual romantic comedy television show, Jasmine figures her leading lady plan should be easy enough to follow, until a casting shakeup pairs her with telenovela hunk Ashton Suarez. Leading ladies don't need a man to be happy. After he was killed off his last telenovela, Ashton is worried his career is dead as well. Joining his new cast as a last-minute addition will give him the chance to show off his acting chops to American audiences and ping the radar of Hollywood casting agents. To make it work, he'll need to generate smoking hot, on-scene chemistry with Jasmine. Easier said than done, especially when a disastrous first impression smothers the embers of whatever sexual heat they might have had. Leading ladies do not rebound with their co-stars. With their careers on the line, Jasmine and Aston agree to rehearse in private, but rehearsal leads to kissing, and kissing leads to a behind-the-scenes romance worthy of a soap opera. While their on-screen performance improves, the media spotlight on Jasmine soon threatens to destroy her new image and expose Ashton's most closely guarded secret. Okay, let's see. These 5 here all came in different subscription boxes. So this first book was actually a gift in one of my Once Upon a Book Club boxes. So as I was reading the book and I got to a gift, the gift happened to be another book. And that was Murder in the Reading Room by Ellery Adams. A little cozy mystery. This says, Storyton Hall, Virginia is a paradise for book lovers who come from all over for literary getaways. But manager Jane Stewart is temporarily leaving for another renowned resort in hopes of solving a twist-filled mystery. Jane's boyfriend is missing, and she thinks she may find him at North Carolina's historic Biltmore Estate. Officially, she's there to learn about luxury hotel management, but she's also prowling around the breathtaking buildings and grounds looking for secret passageways and clues. One of the staff gardeners promises to be helpful, that is, until his body turns up in the reading room of his cottage, a book in his lap. When she finally locates the kidnapped Edwin, his captor insists that she lead him back to Storyton Hall, convinced that it houses Ernest Hemingway's lost suitcase, stolen from a Paris train station in 1922. But before they can turn up the treasure, the bell may toll for another victim. I love me a cute little bookish book. Okay. I cannot remember which boxes these came in. I think they're all Bookish Box, but there could be some unplugged book boxes in here too. I can't remember. All right, the first one I have is House of Breathing Wings by Olivia Wildenstein. And this says, Free the crows, Fallon, and they will make you queen. Until an oracle predicted my regal future, I'd never imagined myself rising above the curve of my rounded ears. After all, I was the magicless halfling, loved by beasts but loathed by every pure-blooded fairy at court. Well, all but one. Dante Reggio, a prince of Luce, had owned my heart since he gave me my first kiss. If gathering a slew of iron relics could help me overthrow the current monarch and crown his brother to rule at my side, then treasure hunting I'd go. If only the oracle had warned me what winged demon I was releasing into the world, and that I'd become this demon's obsession. And it says, fans of Sarah J. Maas, Mary E. Pearson will devour this epic fantasy romance full of deceit, betrayal, and false loves that could swallow a person whole. Okay, next up, I have Between Wrath and Mercy by Jess Weisskopf. This is such a stunning edition. I don't know if it has a synopsis here. No, I'll have to pull it up on Goodreads. Okay, so this is the first book in the Divine Between series. And it says, a mother will do anything to save her child, no matter the cost. After her daughter is kidnapped, Emmeline Highclere, a 34-year-old mother living in isolation with memories and grief her only companion, must do everything in her limited power and divine abilities to get the girl back. Emmeline believes that her daughter, Elora, is the beloved, the conduit with goddess-granted divine abilities prophesied to bring peace to the three kingdoms. Because the last person thought to be the beloved was brutally murdered by the enemy kingdom of Volterra, Emmeline was dedicated the last 16 years to hiding her daughter and keeping her safe. When Elora is kidnapped by a Volterran prince, Emmeline must leave her place of hiding, resolving to do anything to rescue her daughter. But to have any chance against those who took the girl, Emmeline must call upon the one of the most powerful conduits in the three kingdoms, the Crown Prince of Vesta, the man who broke her heart, and hope he helps her despite their estrangement. With the weight of his father's impending death hanging over his head, Crown Prince Rainer has begun to make moves to prove his dedication to assume the role of king. When he is visiting the estate that was once a second home to him, the woman who has long haunted his dreams and consumed his thoughts appears before him, asking for his help to find the child she had with another man. Now he must decide, does he drop what he is doing to help Emmeline, or does he maintain an unwavering duty to the crown? Now Emmeline and Rainer must work together to find the beloved, to save the girl from the Volterrans, and fulfill the prophecy of peace. while they both battle feelings of remorse and heartbreak, trying to ignore the heated desire and simmering attraction between them that never left. From relative isolation to the capital city of Vesta and onwards to Volterra, Emmeline must find out exactly where her daughter's been taken, seeking out help along the way, and bring her home before it's too late. Okay. And I did see that it has some kind of warning here. This was a Bookish Box one. It says it should only be read by mature readers 18 plus and contains scenes that may make some readers uncomfortable. And for a full list, you can check out her website. It says, I do promise a happily ever after for our heroine, but guard your heart along the way. It will be hard earned. Okay, next up is Of Shadow and Moonlight by Luna Laurier. And this one says, a woman fated to die young, a man cursed to live forever, and a darkness that threatens to destroy everything they love. Cassie was never able to experience the life that many take for granted, the freedom to dictate her own journey. No, her life had been spent sheltered, protected from an inevitable fate that would come for her regardless of what anyone could do. After her medical condition goes downhill, she is left with a few years of breath in her lungs and a choice: die alone without ever experiencing what it truly means to feel alive and free, or to find that light, the missing puzzle piece, the feeling of not feeling so alone in her final days. When Damien appears in her life, her world turns upside down when he shows her the hidden magic that lies in the shadows of her world and within herself. Suddenly plunged into a hidden war that has raged for countless centuries between gods and monsters, Cassie begins to feel the weight of her secret, which she has kept hidden all her life. Cassie must embrace the tragic, dark history that runs through the blood in her veins, or risk her world falling into darkness. Okay, and then last from the subscription boxes, we have Court of the Vampire Queen by Katie Robert. This was a Bookish Box edition as well. This says, 3 powerfully alluring vampire men and 1 queen to rule them all. All Mina ever wanted was to escape her father's control. Half human, half vampire, she lived eternally torn between the two worlds, never fully experiencing the pleasures of either, until her father chose her as the pawn in his latest political move, gifting her to the darkly powerful and dangerously seductive Malachi Zion. Malachi is not a vampire to be trifled with. He rules with an iron fist and has a reputation for the darkest of sins. But the longer Mina spends with him, the more she realizes he's not the monster she first thought. And as far as fear bleeds into lust, then trust, then something more, Malachi opens Mina up to a world she never knew could be hers for the taking, including the love of Malachi's 2 closest friends and companions. Now surrounded by all 3 men, the center of their shockingly seductive world, Mina may finally have the power to face down her father and take back the life and crown that by all rights should be hers. Long live the queen. I'm very excited for this one. Okay, these next 5, I believe, are ones that I purchased from a Barnes & Noble trip. So the first one is Summer Reading by Jen McKinley. And this says, when a woman who'd rather do anything than read meets a swoon-worthy bookworm, sparks fly, making for one hot summer fling. For Samantha Gale, a summer on Martha's Vineyard at her family's tiny cottage was supposed to be about resurrecting her career as a chef, until she's tasked with chaperoning her half-brother, Tyler. The teenage brainiac is spending his summer at the local library in a robotics competition, and there's no place Sam, who has dyslexia, likes less than the library. And because the universe hates her, the library's interim director turns out to be the hot reader guy whose book she accidentally destroyed on the ferry ride to the island. Bennett Reynolds is on a quest to find his father, whose identity he's never known. He's taken the temporary job on the island to research the summer his mother spent there when she got pregnant with him. Ben tells himself he isn't interested in a relationship right now, yet as soon as Sam knocks his book into the ocean, he can't stop thinking about her. An irresistible attraction blossoms when Ben inspires Sam to create the cookbook she's always dreamed about, and she jumps all in on helping him find his father. Soon they realize their summer fling may heat up into a happily ever after. Next up we have The Housemaid by Frida McFadden. This says, "Welcome to the family." Nina Winchester says, as I shake her elegant manicured hand. I smile politely, gazing around the marble hallway. Working here is my last chance to start fresh. I can pretend to be whoever I like, but I'll soon learn that the Winchester secrets are far more dangerous than my own. Every day I clean the Winchesters' beautiful house top to bottom. I pick up their daughter from school and I cook a delicious meal for the whole family before heading up to eat alone in my tiny room on the top floor. I try to ignore how Nina makes a mess just to watch me clean it up, how she tells strange lies about her own daughter, and how her husband Andrew seems more broken every day. But as I look into Andrew's handsome brown eyes, so full of pain, it's hard not to imagine what it would be like to live Nina's life. The walk-in closet, the fancy car, the perfect husband. I try on one of Nina's pristine white dresses once, just to see what it's like. But she soon finds out, and by the time I realize my attic bedroom door only locks from the outside, it's far too late. But I reassure myself, the Winchesters don't know who I really am. They don't know what I'm capable of. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, next I have books 3 and 4 in the Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. We have All In and Bad Blood. And, let me set those there. I've pulled up on Goodreads The Natural so I can tell you about that. That says, 17-year-old Cassie is a natural at reading people. Piecing together the tiniest details, she can tell you who you are and what you want. But it's not a skill that she's ever taken seriously. That is, until the FBI come knocking. They've begun a classified program that uses exceptional teenagers to crack infamous cold cases, and they need Cassie. What Cassie doesn't realize is that there's more at risk than a few unsolved homicides, especially when she's sent to live with a group of teens whose gifts are as unusual as her own. Sarcastic, privileged, Michael has a knack for reading emotions, which he uses to get inside Cassie's head and under her skin. Brooding Dean shares Cassie's gift for profiling, but keeps her at arm's length. Soon it becomes clear that no one in the Naturals program is what they seem, and when a new killer strikes, danger looms closer than Cassie could have ever imagined. Caught in a lethal game of cat and mouse with the killer, the Naturals are going to have to use all of their gifts just to survive. I'm very excited to read that whole series, and I love those covers. Okay, this is the last one from that little shopping trip. We have The Book Proposal by KJ Mikishi. I'm sure I said that wrong. This says, desperately seeking fictional hero for happily ever after. Broken up with, broke, and with a vicious case of writer's block, romance writer Gracie Landing is a hot mess. She can hardly be blamed for drinking one, or a few, too many, when out with her besties in an attempt to cheer herself up. Sometime in the foggy wee hours, she recklessly emails her unrequited high school crush, Colin Yarmouth, who is now a successful attorney harboring regrets of his own. When she receives an intriguingly friendly, not to say flirty, response, her acute embarrassment is overcome only by her fervent curiosity. What would a hottie like Colin be like as a grown-up? The two forge an unlikely friendship that's unmistakably headed for more. Colin's tales of his own woeful breakup become fodder for Gracie's fertile imagination, and her current work in progress takes off. With the deadline looming and her checking account dwindling, Gracie has no idea that borrowing Colin's story could wreak havoc on her life, her career, and her own chance at happily ever after. Okay, I think that the rest of these books all came from pre-orders from either Amazon or Books A Million. So the first one I have here is Once More with Feeling by Eliza Sussman. This says, a former pop star finds herself back in the spotlight along with an old flame in this friends to lovers meets enemies to lovers story from the best-selling author of Funny You Should Ask, the sensational TikTok romance. Then, Katie Rose is living the dream as America's #1 pop star, swept up in a whirlwind of sold-out concerts, screaming fans, and constant media coverage. Everyone wants to know everything about her and her boyfriend, Ryan Lenevy. the hottest member of the adored boy band Crush Zone. Katie loves to perform but hates the impossible demands of stardom. Maybe that's why she finds herself in the arms of another Crush Zone member, Cal Kirby. Quiet, serious Cal, who's always been a good friend to Katie, is suddenly Cal with the smoldering eyes and very good hands. One unforgettable night is all it takes to blow up Katie's relationship with Ryan, her career, her whole life. Now, Kathleen Rosenberg is okay with her ordinary existence and leaving her pop star image in the past. That is until Cal Kirby shows up with the opportunity of Kathleen's dreams, a starring role in the Broadway show he's directing, and a chance to perform the way she's always wanted. The two haven't spoken since the joint destruction of their careers, and each blames the other, making their reunion a tense battle of wits and egos. Reluctantly agreeing to the musical, Kathleen keeps her guard up around Cal, but rehearsals are long, those eyes still smolder, and those hands are still very good. Despite everything, Kathleen can't deny the chemistry between them. Is it ever a good idea to reignite old flames, especially if you've already been burned? Alright, next is How to Kill Men and Get Away with It by Caddy Brent. And this says, meet Kitty Collins, friend, lover, killer. He was following me, that guy from the nightclub who wouldn't leave me alone. I hadn't intended to kill him, of course, but I wasn't sorry when I did, and despite the mess I made, I appeared to get away with it. That's where my addiction started. I've got a taste for revenge, and quite frankly, I'm killing it. A deliciously dark, hilariously twisted story about friendship, love, and murder. Alright, next up is Love Theoretically by Allie Hazelwood. This says, rival physicists collide in a vortex of academic feuds and fake dating shenanigans in this delightfully STEMinist rom-com from the New York Times bestselling author of The Love Hypothesis and Love on the Brain. The many lives of theoretical physicist Elsie Hanaway have finally caught up with her. By day, she's an adjunct professor toiling away at grading labs and teaching thermodynamics in the hopes of landing tenure. By other day, Elsie makes up for her non-existent paycheck by offering her services as a fake girlfriend, tapping into her expertly honed people-pleasing skills to embody whichever version of herself the client needs. Honestly, it's a pretty sweet gig until her carefully constructed Elsie-verse comes crashing down, because Jack Smith, the annoyingly attractive and arrogant older brother of her favorite client, turns out to be the cold-hearted experimental physicist who ruined her mentor's career and undermined the reputation of theorists everywhere. And he's the same Jack Smith who rules over the physics department at MIT, standing right between Elsie and her dream job. Elsie's prepared for an all-out war of scholarly sabotage, but those long, penetrating looks, not having to be anything other than her true self when she's with him, will falling into an experimentalist's orbit finally tempt her to put her most guarded theories on love into practice. Alright, next up is You're Not Supposed to Die Tonight by Kaylin Bayron. This says, I'm the final girl, guaranteed to survive the night. Charity has a summer job of her dreams playing the final girl at Camp Mirror Lake. Guests pay to be scared in this full-contact terror game as Charity and her summer crew recreate scenes from a classic slasher film, The Curse of Camp Mirror Lake. The more realistic the fear, the better for business. But on the last weekend of the season, Charity's co-workers begin disappearing, and when one ends up dead, Charity's role as the final girl suddenly becomes all too real. If Charity and her girlfriend Bezzy hope to survive the night, they'll need to figure out what the killer is after. As they unravel the bloody history of the real Mirror Lake, Charity discovers that there may be more to the story than she ever suspected. Okay, next up we have The Night in Question by Kathleen Glasgow and Liz Lawson. This is the sequel to the Agathas, so I've pulled that up on Goodreads. That says, last summer, Alice Ogilvy's basketball star boyfriend, Steve, dumped her. Then she disappeared for 5 days. She's not talking, so where she went and what happened to her is the biggest mystery in Castle Cove. Or it was, at least. But now another one of Steve's girlfriends has vanished, Brooke Donovan, Alice's ex-best friend. And it doesn't look like Brooke will be coming back. Enter Iris Adams, Alice's tutor. Iris has her own reasons for wanting to disappear, though unlike Alice, she doesn't have the money or the means. That could be changed by the hefty reward Brooke's grandmother is offering to anyone who can share information about her granddaughter's whereabouts. The police are convinced Steve is the culprit, but Alice isn't so sure, and with Iris on her side, she just might be able to prove her theory. In order to get the reward and prove Steve's innocence, they need to figure out who killed Brooke Donovan. And luckily, Alice has exactly what they need, the complete works of Agatha Christie. If there's anyone that can teach the girls how to solve a mystery, it's the master herself. But the town of Castle Cove holds many secrets, and Alice and Iris have no idea how much danger they're about to walk into. And that first book was so much fun. Okay, next up is Some Shall Break by Ellie Marney. And this is the sequel to None Shall Sleep. This says, a psychological thriller about two teenagers teaming up with the FBI to track down juvenile serial killers. In 1982, two teenagers, serial killer survivor Emma Lewis and U.S. Marshal candidate Travis Bell, are recruited by the FBI to interview convicted juvenile killers and provide insight and advice on cold cases. From the start, Emma and Travis develop a quick friendship, gaining information from juvenile murderers that even the FBI can't crack. But when the team is called to give advice on an active case, a serial killer who exclusively hunts teenagers, things begin to unravel. Working against the clock, they must turn to one of the country's most notorious incarcerated murderers for help, teenage sociopath Simon Gutmanson. Despite Travis's objections, Emma becomes the conduit between Simon and the FBI team. But while Simon seems to be giving them the information they need to save lives, he's an expert manipulator playing a very long game, and he has his sights set on Emma. I think it sounds really good. Okay, next up is Cherish by Tracy Wolff. I believe this is the final book in the Crave series. So I've pulled up Crave here on Goodreads. This says, my whole world changed when I stepped inside the academy. Nothing's right about this place or the other students in it. Here I am, a mere mortal among gods or monsters. I still can't decide which of these warring factions I belong to, if I belong at all. I only know the one thing that unites them is their hatred of me. Then there's Jackson Vega, a vampire with deadly secrets who hasn't felt anything for 100 years. But there's something about him that calls to me, something broken in him that somehow fits with what's broken in me. Which could spell death for us all, because Jackson walled himself off for a reason, and now someone wants to wake a sleeping monster, and I'm wondering if I was brought here intentionally as the bait. And I will say, if you do happen to read Crave, the first book is kind of cheesy. I think I gave it like 3.5 stars. It was okay, but it was kind of cheesy. But then I think the next book I ended up giving 4 stars, and I think after that everything else has been 5 stars. So I would say give it to at least the second book. If you're not fully like hooked by then don't continue. But at least continue past that first book. Okay, let's stick this over here. Also, I don't know how much longer my battery's gonna last, so hopefully we can finish. We only have 2 books left. Okay, next up is the only one left by Riley Sagar. And this says, best-selling author Riley Sagar returns with a deliciously twisty and addictive gothic chiller about a young caregiver assigned to work for a woman accused of a Lizzie Borden-like massacre decades earlier. At 17, Lenora Hope hung her sister with a rope. Now reduced to a schoolyard chant, the Hope family murders shocked the Maine coast one bloody night in 1929. While most people assume 17-year-old Lenora was responsible, the police were never able to prove it. Other than her denial after the killings, she has never spoken publicly about that night, nor has she set foot outside Hope's Inn, the cliffside mansion where the massacre occurred. Stabbed her father with a knife, took her mother's happy life. It's now 1983, and home health aide Kit McDeer arrives at a decaying Hope's Inn to care for Lenora after her previous nurse fled in the middle of the night. In her 70s and confined to a wheelchair, Lenora was rendered mute by a series of strokes and can only communicate with Kit by tapping out sentences on an old typewriter. One night, Lenora uses it to make a tantalizing offer. I want to tell you everything. It wasn't me, Lenora said, but she's the only one not dead. As Kit helps Lenora write about the events leading to the Hope family massacre, it becomes clear there's more to the tale than people know. But when new details about her predecessor's departure come to light, Kit starts to suspect Lenora might not be telling the complete truth, and that the seemingly harmless woman in her care could be far more dangerous than she first thought. Okay, last but not least, we have Volume 4 of Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe. And I've pulled up Volume 1 on Goodreads for you. This says, experience the propulsive love story of two Greek gods, Hades and Persephone, brought to life with a lavish artwork and an irresistible contemporary voice. Scandalous gossip, wild parties, and forbidden love. Witness what the gods do after dark in this stylish and contemporary reimagining of one of mythology's most well-known stories from creator Rachel Smythe. Featuring a brand new exclusive short story, Smythe's original Eisner-nominated webcomic Lore Olympus brings the Greek pantheon into the modern age with this sharply perceptive and romantic graphic novel. And I've read the first 2 or 3 and absolutely loved them. I think they've all been 5 stars for me. Okay, so those are all 21 books that I've gotten in this haul. Have you read any of them? Did you like them? Did you not? Comment down below and let me know. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give me a big thumbs up. If you'd like to see more videos like this, click that subscribe button down below. And until next time, remember to always be completely you. Bye!